Welcome to day 19 of 50 days of Facebook Live. Today I'm going to jump in and I want to share a little bit of my story with you guys today about how I got involved in doTERRA 5 years ago. And this little guy has something to do with that. This doTERRA Peppermint, which, I just happened to grab because I was feeling so tired after long day work. And I needed to perk myself up and wake myself up. So you know what I do? Take a drop of peppermint oil. You can just take it on the tip of your thumb, touch it to the roof of your mouth, and you breathe in. You can swallow it because doTERRA's essential oils are certified pure tested grade. And it just wakes you up. It wakes you up. It makes, you can take in air. You feel like your sinuses and everything open, and it just feels really good. Another great thing to do, a great time to put a drop on the roof of your mouth is if you're doing cardio or like going out for a run or something like that. It just helps you to take in more air. It opens airways up. And so if you can breathe better, you can run better. So my story and how I got involved in doTERRA started with a trip to Israel. And it was November 11th, 2019. So 11/11/2019. You gotta love it. Prophetic people love numbers. Who sees 11/11 everywhere? So on 11/11 is ironically a day that I also got baptized in the Jordan River by Patricia Bootsma, one of my prophetic mentors. And so we were traveling in Israel, and we'd been there for a few days already, and just traveling. When you go on those bus tours, you do not have easy access to bathrooms whenever you want them. And I was struggling a little bit, not to be too graphic, but just really struggling with digestive issues. I don't know what it was. I think I was just drinking bottled water, but I don't know if it was something in the food that was really just not sitting well with me. And so for the first few days of the trip, we're touring all these incredible places in Israel, going to Jerusalem, and I was struggling. I was just struggling, with all kinds of, crampy issues and nausea and things like that. And I remember on November 11th, we were going to go on a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. We're going to do worship on the boat. And that morning when we got there, before we hadn't gone to the port yet, and I was just overcome by nausea, and I was getting quite upset. I was like, oh shoot, how am I going to go on a boat ride when I'm already feeling like I'm going to throw up? And I've always been someone, even since a child, who's been a little bit sensitive to motion sickness or boats, or I can't read books in the car or anything like that. And so I remember just thinking oh my goodness, I can't, I was feeling desperate. How am I going to go on this boat ride? And there was this lady on the trip, and she was on the tour. And she had exactly a bottle that looked just like this, doTERRA Peppermint Essential Oil. And, she said to take it. She said, take it and just rub it on your belly. So I took some in my hands, and, I was feeling nauseous, feeling kind of crampy, just feeling all around, really crappy. And so I just took the oil, a couple drops, and I rubbed it all over my belly. And then because I had rubbed it on my belly, I had it on my hands. And so this is really great when you feel upset stomach, or if you have motion sickness or anything like that. So I had the peppermint in my oil or on my hands. So I used it topically. I just told you can use it internally. I used some before I got on the call. But then I had the peppermint on my hands, and I just tented it over my mouth and nose. And I just breathed it in. And I just sat there, and I just breathed in the peppermint essential oil. And within probably a minute, 2 minutes tops, I felt completely fine. All the nausea was gone. My stomach felt settled. And I was like, what on earth is this? This is it was like a miracle drug. In times past, what would happen if I felt nauseous or had car sickness or something, I would take a Gravol. And, you take a couple of Gravels, they're pretty good. They'll take away your nausea. They'll knock you out for a good 8-10 hours, and you'll feel, be really drowsy and groggy until you can actually go to sleep. But what actually happens when you use peppermint essential oil is, instead of making you feel like hungover and groggy, you actually feel like more alert, more awake, and it just settled everything naturally. And so that was my first experience when I was like, I wonder, what is it? What is it about this? Something that is a natural plant product that could, take away all my symptoms so quickly and leave me feeling great with no side effects, only benefits. So I was like, this is pretty awesome. I just want to say hello to you guys. Hello, Jenny Kretschmar from Germany, Josie Lavoy from Northern Ontario, and Denise Rios from Puerto Rico. Okay, we got 3 countries on here. That's awesome. And so yeah, Josie, you're saying you use peppermint. Keep it on hand when you're traveling too. I actually don't go anywhere without this, and I even keep a bottle of it in my purse, and I use it at work because I am a coffee drinker. And working in healthcare in very close contact with patients, I have people breathing in my face all day. And, so I get to smell people's breath, which doesn't always smell very nice. And so I just take the peppermint. I don't give it to my patients as much as I would like to sometimes offer it to them. I don't want to be rude, but I just make sure that I am always using the peppermint to make sure that I have fresh breath, at least as I'm serving people. And, you want to provide the best patient care, just like if you are on a ministry team at a church or you're doing in-person prophetic ministry, make sure that you have peppermint or breath mints, because, if someone can't get over the smell of your breath, they're not going to be able to pay attention to listen to the prophetic word that you're releasing over them. It's so true. It's so true. Teresa McDonald, hello. Chris shared, good to see you guys. And so that was on November 11th, 2019 was the very first time I had an experience with essential oils that I was aware of. I don't remember ever using them before that. And that was the first time that I'd used them. And then that was November. And then on January 1st, 2020 was when the Lord spoke to me and said, I want you to get involved with essential oils, and directed me to my upline, Kimberly, and said that she was the person that I was to connect with, and so the rest is history, and so this is the season of cast your net again. This is the season of stepping out and doing the new thing, but I actually was feeling and was chatting with some friends and other prophetic people. It's like we come into the new year and in the new season with all this excitement, and it's like, we have this thing in our mind. It's a new year, new you. You just feel like invincible, like you could do anything. This is the time to change your life, and in some ways it's all in our head, and it's like, oh, well, whatever, it's January. What does that matter? But guys, so yeah, it is all in our head. But do you know how powerful it is what you put in your head? And so whether you believe you can do something or don't believe you can do something has way more impact over you than actually your natural talents, skills, and abilities. Because the Bible talks about in Proverbs about as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Hello, Bonnie Perrin and Angela Hollema. And so I want to just encourage you guys and challenge you as we're stepping into this new season, because there's this fresh anticipation, there's this excitement, there's, these prophetic words about we're getting ready to go, we're getting ready to build. God is bringing us into new things and into new places. We're taking the territory. There's this excitement as we're getting ready, to catch the next wave. But it's so often, we can actually sabotage ourselves by not having the right kind of thinking, this kind of goes with, there's a prophetic principle, and we kind of talk about it in the prophetic where we say okay, especially for those of us who are feelers and discerners, so I'm a feeler. If you're a feeler, if you're a discerner, my condolences to you, No, I am one, but it's one of those gifts that sometimes it feels like until you learn how to rule your gift and understand that it is actually a superpower. It's not something that's meant to torment you. That until you learn how to use it, it can actually be quite unsettling, because when you're like a feeler and a discerner, you can pick up everything that's in the environment. I can feel people's emotions. I feel atmospheres. I feel all kinds of things, and I feel, and so we can pick these things up. But, God doesn't just give us these gifts. He doesn't want us just to be the thermometer. So we're not supposed to just be these thermometers that go up and down. Oh, I'm in a cold environment. Now I feel cold. Now I'm in a dark place. Now I feel scared. Oh, now I'm in a church service. Okay, now I feel good. Now I'm in a hot environment. Okay, now I feel warm. Now I feel comfortable. And God doesn't want us to be like that thermometer that is constantly up and down no matter where we go. I'm on, I can walk into the grocery store and I just have to sometimes brace myself, because I'll feel so much that's going on. And then in those moments, we have to remind ourselves, okay, hold on, I am not just the temperature gauge, though we can pick up the temperature, but we're actually called to be the thermostat. And this is the power that we have as those who are filled with the Holy Spirit, is we have the power and the ability, made in his image, co-creators with God. We don't just get to gauge the atmosphere, we get to set it. And so this is where we're calling. We need to set the atmosphere. And so the feeler gift and the discerner gift is not just to make you feel all, confused or aware of darkness and the demonic and all these things, but it is to give you information of what is going on so that you can change the temperature. We feel things, we pick it up because we have the authority and the power. Prophets are not just, they're shifters. We're atmosphere shifters. So we don't just come in and see oh yeah, it's a good day, it's a bad day. No, we come in and we bring the kingdom. Jesus said the kingdom is here. The kingdom is now. This is his message. The kingdom of God is among us. And so we get to be the thermostat. And you know what? A lot of the body of Christ, has kind of relegated some of their responsibility and forgotten that actually we were called to be the ones to set the temperature. And so just as we do that spiritually, God, Jesus said, pray, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We're supposed to bring his will on earth as it is in heaven. We bring it, and so let's step back to our own life, our own self, our own thermostat, the power of the mind. Because you can say whatever, it's just January. It's just, it's not a big deal. It's just another day. Or you can step in and you say, it is the beginning of a new year and we're in a new era and I have a new opportunity to step up and to bring my best self forward and to break through into levels that I have never broken through before. And this is where as a man thinks, where the Joyce Meyer says, where the mind goes, the man follows, or as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. And so this is where you have to say, okay, where is your thermostat set? Where's your thermostat set? Now, when I joined doTERRA 5 years ago, and I started my entrepreneurial journey, didn't know anything about entrepreneur. I knew how to be a good employee, but I did not know about the entrepreneur life. And I was going to kindergarten and I was starting all over. I had to leave my the expertise of healthcare and my full-time job to step out and to do something new where I felt completely unqualified and unready. And as I stepped into that, I realized what I thought about myself. When we stay where we're comfortable and we stay in the areas where we have expertise, we can actually convince ourselves that we think more highly than we actually do. And so, in my healthcare job and in ultrasound, because I've been doing it now for 15 years, I knew I was a good ultrasound tech. I knew, God had given me skills, abilities. He helps me to find things that I need to find inside people's bodies. It's quite fun, but I was really good at what I did, and he was calling me out to step into something unknown and uncharted. And what I realized as I moved away out of my area of expertise and stepped into something new, I realized that I had a lot of stuff to work on. And what I thought was the beginning of just an entrepreneurial journey, so, I could earn more money, so I could focus more on ministry. That was what I was thinking. It was actually an incredible self-development, program that I was stepping into as I was about to build a business, because I realized very quickly that I had huge rejection issues, and that I had, huge insecurities, and that I really wasn't that confident and sure of myself. And, I realized that every time, I would step out and do something, and take a risk, and if someone had, a negative response, or they simply just didn't want the product that I was offering, maybe it wasn't their time, that I was actually taking it personally. And so it became this so I really realized it's okay, let's go back to the analogy of the thermostat. Where's the thermostat set in your life? And I realized, my thermostat was down here. Through my expertise and getting really good through works, through performance, in my profession, you perform so that you actually feel like you are at a certain level. But I realized, no, actually, my core beliefs was that I was just down here, and that my values, skills, and ability were not. What happens when we get to the bottom of it and we realize, hey, so if you think you're only a 50-degree kind of person, if we'll stay with the thermostat analogy, if you're like, yeah, I'm only a 50, I'm just a 50-degree. If that's what you really believe at the core of who you are, you can work hard, you can set goals, you can strategize, you can, try and hang around with overachievers, and you can try and get past that. But if you really only believe you are this level and you deserve this level, it doesn't matter how much eventually you are going to sabotage yourself if you are succeeding, and you're going to keep bringing yourself back down to this level of your belief. And so what God does is he invites us in a journey to raise that bar, and to raise that bar. Okay, not a 50. Okay. Then you think you're a 60, then you're a 70, then and God's like, no, you're 100. You're 120 degrees. And so God is raise the bar of your belief. And it's not pride. It's not pride. It's not oh, look at me, I'm amazing. But it is we are made in the image of God. Jesus was the firstborn of a new creation. We are just these earthen vessels filled with his power. And so, how do we estimate ourselves? And how we're going to estimate ourselves? And it's not about pride, and it's not about false humility. It's not oh, the humble thing is to say oh, lowly me, I'm nothing, I'm only a 30. That might be the Canadian way of doing it. But we're going to throw out the false humility that has bound the Canadians for so long. We're going to throw it away, and we're going to rise up in confident humility, confident in who he is, but humility because we know that even though we are awesome, we're awesome because of him. It's because of him. And so he's raising up the bar. He's lifting up. He says, okay, you know what? And so I started my doTERRA business 5 years ago. And, I learned lots of great things along the way, and so many great lessons, so many things I learned about myself. Lots of things that I tried and worked really hard at, and then some things that actually didn't work out very well and didn't feel like life for me. And then God had me lay it down for a season, for a time. I spent the last, I'll be super vulnerable. I've gone through some really deep healing in these last couple years. This is how many of you guys will say, yeah, these last couple years have been really about getting our hearts right, going to the deep places of healing, let God, and so now it's where God is saying, hey, it's the season to cast your net again, guys. It's the season to cast your net again. But now I get to emerge in this season where God says, cast your net again. It's time to go. It's the time for entrepreneurship. It's time for everything that you were hoping and believing for before, but now is the appointed time. But now I don't come in it thinking, hey, I'm just a 50%er. Yeah, Diane, I'd say it's probably actually been 3 years as well. It's 3 years as well. But no, it's like, no, the bar is up here now. And that's what happens when you come into this place and, you allow God to like show you, those ungodly beliefs that you have, the things that he wants to, fix, the glitches that we have, the core foundational beliefs that need to be restored, to be reset, to let God like speak his truths. When we go through that place and we allow him to do that like deep foundational work, get all the cracks out. He pressurizes us. So the last 2-3 years has been about. It's been about, we have been squeezed. We've been hard pressed on every side. And he has allowed exposure. He has allowed our cracks, our weaknesses to show. He squeezed us to the point where our bad attitudes came out so that, it is more about like, what's been revealed in us, because he lets all that crap come to the surface because he wants to scrape it off. And then we get refined and then we estimate ourselves appropriately. But estimating ourselves appropriately is not pulling ourselves down, but is actually say, okay, I am made in the image of Christ and there are limitless possibilities. And God has brought me this far. He has not brought me here to leave me, and he certainly didn't bring me here to fail. And so he's just raising up the bar. And so it's like, as you raise up that bar, as you adjust the thermostat, and you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to figure it out. But when you have a real estimation of who you are in Christ, and you know that you are amazing, and you know that you are his beloved daughter, and you know that even on your worst day, that he is crazy about you and he's never going to abandon you, forsake you, or let you go. Even that, when you know who you are, when you're settled in sonship, and you know your value's up here. And so you're going to, as the mind goes, the man follows. As you believe in your heart, so are you. And so you're going to create and live out of this reality of who God says you are. And so this is why, and this is why I love the prophetic, and I love to speak, release the Father's heart to people and call them into alignment with who God says they are. Because it helps. And how many guys have been prophesied over? It doesn't have to have been by me, but like when you're prophesied over, like your heart just leaps within you and you feel like you come alive. I remember when Isabel Alum prophesied over me the very first time. That was how I felt. I felt like she spoke to my spirit. She picked me up by my spirit and lifted me up. And what she released over me was just a level of like identity and destiny, words that no one had ever spoken over me my whole life. And so this is it. We want to call people up higher, and I want, you to know who you are and to realize that you are powerful and that you are called and that you have the power to adjust the thermostat. You have the power to raise the bar and to raise the temperature. And so it's like, I want to challenge you to push the bar up. Because guys, God is calling us into new things in this season. He's calling us to take brave steps. Sorry, I got a little more comfortable. Brave steps of risk taking and to step into the new. And I don't want to see you guys sabotage yourself before you get out of the gate, basically. And it's like, it's time, we're in this place where there's this tension. There's this tension of the shift. There's this tension of the change. It's like the shift, the transition is already started. We're feeling that forward push, that forward momentum. But what's coming? It's going to come like a tsunami wave. And as the wave, when a tsunami is coming, before the wave comes, there's that pull back. You feel the pull back first. And I just feel this, like, don't let yourself get caught in the undercurrent, but grab your surfboard and be ready to ride the wave that's coming, because we're in this tension of the pullback. In this tension, in this place, it actually seems like, oh, maybe those prophetic words were all just fluffy promises, and maybe this isn't really anything, and maybe this is just like all the other years, you know? And it's this tension of the in between. And in these times, because there's the momentum is coming, but in these pullback times, we have to allow ourselves to be sustained by the truths of what God has said to us, whether that's truths that are found in the scripture, whether those are prophetic promises that have been spoken over your life, or, you know, or whether they're the prophecies that you have to wage war. We have to wage war according to the prophecies. And there is this temptation, you know, sometimes if we allow ourselves, we can allow ourselves to get so swept under and discombobulated in that tension of the pullback. But there's a needfulness to be positioned and ready to go, because the wave is coming and it's going to come fast and furious, and we need to be able to ride it. Yeah. Yeah. Whew. We can get caught in that undercurrent and in that pullback when we start to say things to ourselves like, oh, that's not for me. That's not who I am. I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have a ministry. I couldn't do that. I'm not a salesperson. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody wants to listen to me. I don't have influence. Who am I? I'm always going to be for on and on and on. When we say these kind of things to ourselves, oh, I could never do that. Oh, that's just not me. God is calling us to step into new and to reconceptualize the way that we think about ourselves, because some of us, you know, so many of us, we are just stuck in who we thought we were in the old season. But the Lord says that I have changed you. I have transformed you. The pain of these last few years have not been for nothing, but they have been for your advancement and for your promotion. And the Lord is bringing purpose out of our pain in this season, but we have to be willing to go up to the next level and step up and to do the things that we have not done before, to take those risks and to get with the flow and with the momentum of what he's doing. And so we need to go with him, but it's all about positioning. Are you going to ride the wave, or are you going to get tossed and turned and confused in the undercurrent? How many of you guys have ever got pulled in the undercurrent? I remember one time as a girl, I think I was probably about 14. And my mom took us to Trinidad and Tobago. But when we were up in Trinidad, we were swimming in this bay we drove through the mountains, and we were swimming in this bay that had, you know, and it wasn't even that deep. And I remember being there with one of my younger sisters, Kathleen, and just the waves, the undercurrent was so strong. And I remember like going under the water and feeling the undercurrent pull me, but it kind of spins you around, and you get so discombobulated that you actually don't know which way is up and which way is down. And so it's like you don't know which direction to go to come up for air. And so I implore you, hold your ground. Stand on your feet. Get up. Be immovable in this season and say, I will have my breakthrough. I will have my destiny. I will allow God to raise the bar, and I will step into the new things that he's calling me to do. I will do this bold and courageous risk-taking. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. And don't let the grief of the things that are being removed and the grief of what you dreamed would one day be and now you're realizing will not. Do not let that hold you back in the pain of emotions or disappointment, because God says, my ways have always been higher than your ways. And even though you thought it was going to go a certain way, even though you expected things to turn out and to go a certain direction, he says, I'm not surprised. And this was my plan all along. Yeah. So rise up. Yeah. Know who you are. Yeah. Yeah. And just like Jean's saying there, breathe him in. Just breathe him in. Just breathe him in this season. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. And ask him. In this time, it's like, as we're waiting in this short time, as the waters recede, there's like a silence in the heavens. And we're in this moment where we need to be positioned and hold our ground and hear what he's saying. And hear that voice of encouragement that's speaking from heaven, that still small voice that's on the inside of you, that is saying, you are my beloved son. You are my beloved daughter, in whom I am well pleased, and I am setting you up for success in this season. So rise up and step up and do the new thing that you have been called to do. Be willing to cast your net again. Gather your vessels so that you are ready, that you have the containers for the oil that is to be poured out, for that which is to be released from the heavenly places, that which is going to be the means by which God is going to bring supernatural debt. The supernatural debt cancellation is going to come through some natural means, but it's all God nonetheless. So get your buckets, position yourself, because positioning and how we stand, who we're with in this season, is going to be very, very important. How many of you guys have felt, man, the pain of relational realignment in these last few years? Man, it's been like, in some ways it's felt a little bit like a revolving doors of relationships, but it's been very strategic. God has been, realigning us to get us set up with the correct people that we need so that we can move forward unhindered in this season. Yeah. So the people that you're walking with, if you don't feel like you have a sense of purpose, if you're still like, what is my purpose? What is my call? What is my message? How is God calling me to serve the world? How can I be of value? How can I be of service? How can I be a person of impact? Yeah. Look at who God has aligned you with. The community, the people, the relationships, the friendships. Who are you drawn to? Who shares your heartbeat? Who is passionate about the same things, about the same messages? Who can you see yourself doing life with? Who would you be excited with to link arm in arms and move forward in this season to take that mountain of destiny? Because this is not the season to go alone. This is the season for family, for team, for community. This is the season for the Elishas who are raising up the next generation, who are raising up the sons and daughters. And the thing with being an Elisha who can link arms with the sons and daughters and take, and go in and to raise them up, there has to be a settledness and a security. You got to get out that insecurity and competition, because the Elisha, to be the spiritual mother or father, you got to be settled. You got to know who you are and know that it's not a competition, that the kingdom's actually a team sport. It's a team sport. Who's on your team? Who's on your team? And when we think we're all alone and it's all up to us and it's all up to our talents and it's all up to our abilities and all that, that's orphan-minded thinking. And this is where so often we allow ourselves to go and we get stuck because, we think it's all me. It's all us. Where's the help? It's like, no, it's not you. And where you're weak, your friend is strong. And where you're strong, maybe your friend is weak. And this is why God is bringing us together so that we can benefit together. We can prosper together. We can advance together. We can bring the kingdom together. And we also have that safety and covenant relationship when you're, where you're linking arms with those people that God has been redoing our inner circles. Guys, how many of you have felt that? Like your inner circle has just been shifted. And God has, and some of that shifting has been incredibly painful. Some of the most painful, relational transitions is often when someone gets removed out of your inner circle. But God has been shifting us because as much as we would like relationship, I'm so loyal and so faithful, and I just wish that, sometimes I'm like, oh, why can't these friends be friends for life? Why do we constantly have to change and seize it? I used to be such a resistor of change, and I just wanted, I like routine. I like stable. I like knowing who my people are, and I just, would love to have had just the same friends, but God is like, you are not the same person in all the seasons of your life. You're not going the same places in all the seasons of your life. You don't have the same assignments. You don't have the same calling. You don't have the same purpose. You don't, and as you grow and as you mature, God needs to continue to shift the people who are around you, and then you go to another level. Or maybe it's not that you're just, going to another level, but it might even be you just have a different assignment. And as he's moving you an assignment, he needs to readjust the people who are in your inner circle. So in this, I'm going on this rabbit trail because I want to challenge you. Who are your people? Who are your people? Who are your friends? Who are the ones, that you can share your heart with? Who are the ones that you can reach out and have pray for you and stand with you when you're going through difficulties, and challenges? And, I'll be honest, I don't have the grace to stand with everybody and to be that person, in a lot of, we have the grace for how many best friends, close friends, you can probably maybe count them on your hand, but it's we all each need to have those close ones, who can lift us up, who can hold our arms up when we feel like we're falling, and so this is what God is wanting to do, but friends who also see your potential and call you up and call you, into a higher place. Don't look for friends who are just like you, or, sometimes what we do is, because we tend to be attracted to people who are kind of like us, even in our dysfunction, if we, even if we have our own ways where we just know, okay, we need to come up higher, we tend to gravitate towards people who are like-minded, and actually what we need to do is we need to because when we go with like-minded or same level, kind of people or peers, it's because, we don't feel intimidated. We don't feel the competition. We're yeah, we're just the average of, we're just kind of the average. But God is no, reach higher. Don't just settle for where you're at. And don't just look for people in your life who are going to be oh yeah, you're doing fine. Just stay right there. You don't need to move forward. But look for people who are stronger, who are wiser, who have skills that you don't have, who have gifts that you don't have, who are brave risk takers, who step out in levels that you have not stepped out in. People who have wisdom and insight, and look up, because we will become the average of, it said, the 5 people that we hang out with the most. And so God is really upgrading our relationships by upgrading our inner circles, and it's so important for us to have these safe, vulnerable relationships in this season. Yeah. Especially where we're seeing so many things of, exposure and revealing and, ministers falling over the last few years, and just all these things that have been in hiddenness are now coming out into the light. We need to be those people who are in covenant relationship, who have those people who can speak into every aspect and area of our life, that there is nothing hidden, that there is nothing hidden that the enemy can use against us. Because this is our safety. And this is love, and this is covering. Love covers. Love protects. So who are your people? If you have good people in your life, hang on to them for dear life. And if you don't have those people yet, find a community of like-minded people who are pursuing the same things, or who our hearts are ignited and have passion for things that ignite and excite your heart. Yeah, because this is a really important season of alignment for us. Awesome. I want to say hello to a few of you guys. Hey, Dwayne Clugston and Jana Jacobs, Jenny Kretschmar. I already said hello to Jenny. Diane Wallace, Marlene Hood, love and appreciate you, lady. April Lynn, Angela Hollema, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for tuning in. So I'm gonna just end it here. So today was day 19. I'll be back tomorrow for day 20. Probably sometime earlier. I'll be on earlier because I have my Emerging Prophet School in the evening. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. There's still a few more days. Yeah, today's the 22nd. So 9 more days, 8 more days, something like that, to book a prophetic consultation if you're interested, and taking advantage of the discount that I'm offering this month. All right, guys, have a great night. You guys are amazing.